This is the 21.5-inch barreled BM-59 Paratrooper from James River Armory, or JRA. It's an Italian battle rifle with a folding stock and a grenade launcher that has more history than your grandpa's war story. If you're looking for a classic firearm with a dash of flair and a side of tactical, the BM-59 Paratrooper might just be your next rifle. So without further ado, let's dive in. A blast from the past. This isn't your modern rifle. The BM-59 has a lineage dating back to the legendary M1 Garand, with a post-war Italian makeover, of course. Think of this as the classic car of the firearms world. It's a little bit older, a bit quirky, but with an undeniable charm. So without further ado, let's start up with the tip. Now, we do have a couple of different variants of the BM-59 Paratrooper that do have some different muzzle brakes up here. This one, of course, just being the standard Paratrooper, has an attachment for a grenade launcher and a flip-up front sight for a rifle grenade launcher. Very, very cool overall. And then just beyond that, you do also have your front sight post. As you can see, what I'm clearly using to maneuver this rifle around is the front bipod. A very cool feature on this bipod is it does have slots on the actual handguard of the firearm to where it does lock into, so that way it does hold it in place. So as you're gripping it and holding it, if you're not using the bipod, it's just a stable, nice grip. There, it doesn't move around or shake at all. Flip her over, you can see that we do have a sling mount on your left-hand side. Again, for a more traditional style sling, seeing as this did derive from the original M1 Garand. One very nice thing about this rifle is the wood grain, and this is what gives it a lot of that classic feeling. It's not quite as battle-worn as you might expect for being such an older rifle converted into a newer rifle. It is a very nice wood finish on here, and it would make a great wall piece if nothing else. Overall, it feels very, very solidly built, and it's a lot of fun to use. The action on the Paratrooper does look pretty familiar, as one might expect. Pulling out the mag does release it forward. It is a 21 round mag, so you can fit 20 rounds of that 7.62x51 ammo into here, and then it does feed in kind of similar to an AK. You slide that front in first, give it a nice slap, and then she gets put in place. Now, you do also have a button on your left side right here. That is your bolt release, and it works as smooth as one would expect. On your left side, that is for your bolt release. This, pressing it in, releases that bolt forward, even if there is no round in the chamber. Just like any bolt release that you'd expect from pretty much any firearm out there. Moving forward, your rear sight is going to be a peephole sight and is adjustable right here on the rifle. You can adjust it up and down, and then left and right as well. It is easy to use and works exactly as you would expect. Just twisting these knobs, one for up and down, and then one for left and right. Very nice overall. Now, that magazine is a metal magazine, and it again does hold those 20 rounds, as we had discussed earlier. Now for the coolest feature on this rifle. So if you notice, the trigger guard is fairly small. For those who are going to be in an environment where you may be in a colder environment, have to wear gloves, you may not be able to fit your gloved finger in this trigger guard. So they thought about that, and they actually gave you a winter trigger. This winter trigger is very, very cool, and it literally functions as the trigger. So you pull it back, and then bang, it goes off, and it's very cool. Now, it does actually make your trigger overall easier to actuate. So what do I mean by that? So let's show you what the standard trigger pull kind of looks like here. The trigger has a little bit of take up here, as you can see, and then as soon as you get to that wall, it just a few more pounds of pressure gets you on that nice crisp brake. Because she is semi-automatic, that reset is very nice and tactile as well, again with a nice clean brake. Now, that winter trigger pulls it out, and much like a longer wrench whenever you are trying to crank something loose, it is easier to fire with the winter trigger simply because there's more leverage on that trigger mechanism. Bang. Super light, super nice to use. Now, one word of caution with this firearm. It is now loaded. It's just ready to fire. There's no ammunition inside. It's been cleared. But when you pull the winter trigger down, if you just pull too hard, it just goes off. So if you are showing this off to a friend or a family member at the range one day, do keep that in mind. If they pull down that winter trigger, that gun is loaded, it will go off if they pull too hard. Just a word of warning. On the front side of that trigger is your safety. You push it in for not going to fire, and then if it is outside of that trigger guard, it is ready to fire. Actually makes a lot of sense. There's no red or black. It's just if it's inside the trigger guard, you cannot pull that trigger. It will not operate. As soon as you push it out, bang, you can shoot. The magazine release is a paddle style magazine release. Works as you would expect. You grab the front of the magazine, you pull that lever back, and then bang, it comes right out as one would expect. It does have a bit of a grippy texture on the backside of that mag release, which makes it very nice and easy to actuate and to grip, even if you have gloves on. Yet again, they think of everything with this gun. Now let's head on down to that grip. The grip is a little bit on the larger side, so for those of you with bigger hands, this grip is going to feel very natural. Even with me with smaller hands, it does fit very nicely. It has a little bit of a lip here that holds my hand in place very nicely. You do get a nice horizontal molded texture that is very deep and aggressive, which gives you a very good grip on this overall. And they have a hidden compartment along the bottom. I find the easiest way to do it, so it's hard to actuate out with your thumb. I find the easiest way to do it to grab just a simple tool. This is an Allen wrench. No, it does not come with the gun, but you can just find use any Allen wrench and pull it out. You have a cleaning supplies or Skittles. If you want to turn this thing into a rattle, you can do that. Of course, you also have your rack number on the bottom because, again, these were originally used in a different purpose. And now for the feature that really differentiates this firearm from its BM-59 wood stock brother. It is that folding stock. Now, you do have a sling mount on the back here, and you also have a traditional sling point on the rear side of this stock as well. Very nice and thoughtful overall. Now to show you how it folds. You pull up this portion here, which has a nice snap into place. You then can fold in your actual butt plate. You press this button up top, you push her in, and it does require a good amount of force to get her to actually fold in nicely. Now you have a folded BM-59 Paratrooper, so this is going to make it easier to store, this is going to make it easier to travel with, and you can still operate the entire rifle while it's folded because this does come down and gets right out of the way. Overall, that makes this one of the more unique firearms that you are going to find anywhere today, and you even get a stamp of approval on the other side of the firearm, which is very cool, letting you know exactly which rifle this is in the lineup. In conclusion, the BM-59 Paratrooper isn't just a rifle. It's a time machine back into a bygone era of battle-tested firearms. It's a quirky piece of history with a unique feature set that's guaranteed to turn heads at the range. If you're looking for a rifle with vintage pedigree and the ability to launch more than just bullets, the BM-59 Paratrooper demands further investigation. Just make sure to get the proper qualifications from the authorities before you test out a grenade launcher on the front. This is one classic firearm that would look great on a wall or be a great show-off piece. With that being said, if you have any experiences with the BM-59 or the BM-59 Paratrooper, please leave a review down below. We would love to see your comments. That is all I have for you today. God bless. Stay safe. It is time to end.